Y News with Angelo Castro III, William Theo, and Darlene Basingan.
Good evening. The House of Representatives is studying the possibility of withdrawing the legislative immunity it gives to customs broker Mark Ruben Taguba. Grace Casin tells us why.
Lawmakers are not convinced of the contradictory statement of customs broker Mark Ruben Taguba during the inquiry yesterday of the lower house of Congress. Taguba initially named some officials of the Bureau of Customs or BOC, whom he accused of receiving grease money in exchange for not having his shipments undergo physical inspection and verification. However, the customs broker retracted his accusations against the BOC officials.
Nag-base lang ako doon sa mga nagte-text sa akin. Nung pinatayo po ako ni Congressman, kailangan ko po talagang magturo. Pinapaturo niya po ako. Ang pagkakaintindi ko po doon, yung department ang ituro ko. Okay. Tumatanggap.
In a document Taguba submitted to the House Committee, he named a certain Tita Nani, Jerry, Jake, Jojo, Joel, Jason, Mark, Maita, and Sandra are those who texted and called him about the grease money he gives amounting to 30,000 pesos per container.
Well, we need to review his statements kasi may mga konting inconsistency. Mukhang medyo nagbabago ang isip. Although I don't want to cast judgment kasi syempre hindi man ako expert. But if we discover that he's being inconsistent, then that's a strong grounds na i-revoke yung immunity.
Meanwhile, the customs broker also mentioned during the last night's hearing that Tita Nani and Jake called the son of President Rodrigo Duterte, incumbent Vice Mayor Paulo Duterte. Taguba, however, clarifies that the son of the president is just being used as it was a part of the rumors circulating in the BOC. In a statement, presidential son denies the allegation of Taguba, saying statements without basis should not be believed. Grace Casin, UNTV News and Rescue, House of Representatives.
Bureau of Customs or BOC Import Assessment Service Director Milo Maestracampo submitted his resignation letter to President Rodrigo Duterte. This is after he was named by customs broker Mark Taguba II as among the BOC officials allegedly receiving grease money. This, although Taguba clarifies that he does not personally know and directly handed money to the persons he named. Because of this, Maestracampo decided to just resign from his post as delicadeza and to further prove his innocence. The customs official says he is also ready to face any investigation on the matter. The Philippine Competition Commission has started its investigation on whether or not a garlic cartel exists in the country. Ray Pelayo will tell us why.
The two-year transitory period of the Philippine Competition Commission or PCC has ended today. PCC believes that companies and businessmen were given enough time to adjust and to practice healthy competition in the market. PCC is now prioritizing the investigation on the alleged garlic cartel in the country. The agency has 90 days to do the preliminary inquiry on the issue. PCC said the probe might be reduced to 60 days because they will use the result of DOJ's investigation on the same issue when it first surfaced in 2014. However, the prosecution process might last to 2 years after the case has been filed to the Department of Justice.
Bakit ba ganun ang antitrust cases? Ba't siya medyo matagal? As I said earlier, para po kasi hindi siya yung police work, napupuntahan mo lang, tatanungin mo kung nakita, hindi nakita, no?
If proven guilty on the violation of the anti-competition law, a person may be imprisoned of up to 7 years and be fined of up to 250 million pesos. The fine may be tripled if the items belong to basic commodities of consumers. The Department of Agriculture released a blacklist of garlic importers last month. They were companies who were given import permits but did not comply, resulting to scarcity in supply and eventually a spike in garlic prices in the market. Ray Pelayo, UNTV News and Rescue, Pasig City.
Meanwhile, the Commission on Elections, or Comelec, says they would push through with the printing of ballots for the October polls, although the members of the lower house of Congress agreed to postpone the elections. Aiko Miguel tells us why.
The Commission on Elections admits having not enough time to prepare for the barangay and sangguniang kabataan elections. Although both houses of Congress agreed yesterday to postpone to May 2018, the Barangay and Sangguniang Kabataan supposed to be held on October of this year, the poll body will still continue with the printing of ballots tomorrow in case the deal will not push through. The number of ballots to be printed would also be known by tomorrow.
Tomorrow is already August 9. Sinabi sa akin ng aming printing committee, Sir, kailangan na tayong magsimula. Pero ang gagawin din namin is to start with Bataan.
Chairman Andres Bautista says the process for the approval of the postponement of the barangay and SK elections will take long. This is why Bautista says they still need to prepare for the paraphernalias to be used for the polls.
For a bill to become a law, it has to have the concurrence of both the House and the Senate. So kami naman, as I said, nagagahol na kami sa oras eh. We were supposed to start printing July 24.
The poll chief also reminds about the public hearing in Mindanao on August 15 to discuss about the armed conflict in Mindanao and to determine whether or not to continue the polls there. Aiko Miguel, UNTV News and Rescue, Manila.
The lawmakers target to pass the bill for the postponement of the Barangay and Sangguniang Kabataan elections at the soonest possible time. Grace Casin will tell us why.
House Committee on Suffrage and Electoral Reforms Chairman Congressman Sherwin Tugna is confident that the proposed postponement of the Barangay and Sangguniang Kabataan elections will be passed into law this month.
Lusot na ito sa third reading. I just cannot speak on behalf of the Senate, but since there is good coordination between the lower house and the Senate, I believe there will be a almost similar bill on this particular issue.
In an all-party caucus yesterday, members of the lower house of Congress agreed to postpone the October polls to May 2018, while the current officials of the barangays will remain incumbent until the said elections take place. The lawmakers also plan to hold a plebiscite of the Bangsamoro entity simultaneously with the proposed 2018 Barangay and Sangguniang Kabataan elections. President Rodrigo Duterte previously said that the problem on illegal drugs was the reason why he doesn't want the Barangay and Sangguniang Kabataan elections to push through this year. However, Congressman Gary Alejano of the Magdalo Party List is not in favor of the said proposal.
After 1 year ng patayan, ng paghahabol sa mga drug lords and drug users and pushers, hindi pa ba sila nakontrol?
On Monday, the Congress will begin tackling the postponement of the Barangay and SK elections. Commission on Elections Chairman Andres Bautista is expected to attend the said congressional hearing. Grace Casin, UNTV News and Rescue, House of Representatives.
In other news, President Rodrigo Duterte calls for harnessing public-private partnership in Association of Southeast Asian Nations, or ASEAN. Meanwhile, he also reiterates regions safe from lawless elements and corruption. Rosa Di Cos will tell us why.
A region where rule of law prevails and where there is mutual respect and understanding for each nation. This is what President Rodrigo Duterte emphasizes as the foremost goal of the ASEAN, which is to provide prosperous and peaceful life for its citizens.
We want a region that is secure, where our peoples can live without fear from the lawless elements and the debilitating effects of corruption and transnational crimes.
Today is the 50th founding anniversary of the Association of Southeast Asian Nations, or ASEAN. President Duterte acknowledged the foreign ministers of Indonesia, Philippines, Malaysia, Singapore, and Thailand, who founded one of the fastest-growing economic communities in the world. From the original 5 member states, 10 countries now have been looking forward to the positive change for their citizens.
As we move forward, we must express our gratitude to those who have dared to dream of the impossible and made this real for us. On this day, therefore, we pay tribute to the founding fathers whose patriotism went beyond borders and whose idealism drew our nations and our peoples closer together.
And to continue on what was started by the ASEAN founding fathers, President Duterte calls for the harnessing of public-private partnership with its co-member states.
Indeed, the ASEAN Business Advisory Council's Alliance for Prosperity for All is showing how the inclusive business model can help achieve growth of our MSMEs and our peoples in the grassroots.
Rosa Licoz, UNTV News and Rescue, Pasay City.
The Department of Foreign Affairs explains the non-inclusion of the militarization and land reclamation issue on the ASEAN Foreign Ministers' joint communique. Nel Maribuhok is in Pasay City to tell us why, live. Yes, Nel, go ahead.
Darlene, in a briefing this afternoon, Department of Foreign Affairs Secretary Alan Peter Cayetano explains that the Philippines just want continuous dialogues or talks with China and is strengthening its relationship with the country. This is the position of Department of Foreign Affairs on the non-inclusion of reclamation and militarization issues of China in the West Philippine Sea in the joint communique of ASEAN foreign ministers.
Is your objective to shame China or confront them? Or is your objective peace and stability in the South China Sea and get the COC passed? Whether the land reclamation was there or not, and it is there, the reality on the ground is that people have stopped reclaiming. And the reality on the ground is it's just not China who did reclamation.
The secretary said he himself is opted to choose not to include also the arbitral ruling in the communique. Even if the ASEAN countries have adopted the Code of Conduct, Cayetano says the country will push for a legally binding COC amid future challenges.
The problem with legally binding, is, okay, what are the penalties? And if the penalties, what are the mechanisms for adjudication? What tribunal, what court? And then after that, who will enforce? So I think some countries are just being practical by saying it's easier to have a binding rather than legally binding.
Nevertheless, in the end, the secretary clarified that President Rodrigo Duterte will not abandon the arbitral ruling, and when the right time comes, the president will tackle the said ruling on the West Philippine Sea. Darlene?
Thank you, Nel Maribuhok, reporting live from Pasay City. A staff member of the International Monetary Fund believes that the passage of the tax reform package would help the country maintain its strong economic performance. Joyce Balancho will tell us why.
The economic performance of the Philippines continues to be strong with robust growth over the recent years. This is the finding of International Monetary Fund staff Louis Brewer, who visited the country from July 26 until August 9. Mr. Brewer says our economic performance is characterized by 6.9% growth in 2016. Unemployment rate has fallen while investments has grown. Growth of the economy decreased a little in 6.4% in the first quarter of 2017 due to slow public spending and strong base effects following the elections last year. He clarifies meanwhile that conflict in Mindanao has not affected the flow of investments in the Philippines.
We have no evidence that confidence or sentiment in the Philippines, which is very strong by regional and global standards. Both the private sector and the public sector have very ambitious plans to expand. We have no evidence that the confidence has been weakened because of any regional security events.
Brewer says they support the plan of the Duterte administration to spend more on infrastructure. He also recommends the passage of the tax reform package that will provide bigger revenue collection for the government.
It will generate resources for the authorities to expand priority investments in social services and infrastructure. It will provide insurance against a volatile international financial conditions.
Passing the right-sizing bill, he says, can also help in improving spending efficiency and quality. IMF staff Louis Brower, however, clarifies that these are just preliminary findings of his team after they met with the governor of the Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas, some local government officials, and even the private sector. Based on these findings, he will draft a report to be submitted to the executive board of the IMF for their approval. Joyce Balancho, UNTV News and Rescue, Pasay City.
The LTFRB and the Manila International Airport Authority will impose stiffer penalties to drivers of colorum taxis and abusive cab drivers operating at the Ninoy Aquino International Airport. Joanne Nano will tell us why.
Colorum taxis and abusive taxi drivers are always the problem passengers face at the terminals of the Ninoy Aquino International Airport or NAIA. Based on the figures of Manila International Airport Authority or MIA, the airport police apprehend about 400 abusive cab drivers and 2 colorum taxis every month. This prompted the MIA to coordinate with the Land Transportation Franchising and Regulatory Board or LTFRB in stopping the illegal activity which taints the image of the Philippines. Through an agreement signed by 2 agencies, the LTFRB and MIA will tighten the monitoring of taxis conveying passengers from NAIA. Taxi drivers found contracting passengers and as well as those driving colorum cabs will face heavier penalties. From the previous 1,000 peso fine on drivers of colorum taxis, it will now increase to 120,000 pesos and 3-month suspension, similar to what the LTFRB imposes on other areas in Metro Manila. If before cab drivers found contracting passengers only face a penalty of not being able to enter NAIA, violators will now be prohibited from operating in the entire vicinity of the airport.
Para naman ho pag-uwi ng ating mga kababayan o mga turista, ay makita ang show window talaga ang ating paliparan. Sana tumigil na po sila, tilingin namin sila sasantuhin.
Earlier, the LTFRB deployed 8 traffic law enforcers at NAIA and immediately inspected all the cabs parked at the airport.
Saan ang ID nyo? Meron? Opo. Saan nakalagay? Dito. Display nyo, ha?
Ay mas maganda pag in-implement nila yun para naman maiwasan yung mga pandoloko nila sa kapwa ba. Siyempre, kailangan namin yun. Kami mga commuters talaga.
Mga abusado sa karsada, hulihin. Trabaho nyo yun eh. Gampanan nyo.
The LTFRB and MIA appeal to passengers and youth to stop patronizing colorum and abusive taxi drivers operating at NAIA. When encountering such drivers, authorities advise passengers to immediately report it to them or to the airport police and traffic law enforcers deployed at the airport.
Kung yung karapatan nyo ay inaabuso, assert your right pagdating na. No? Kasi para magugulat din yung taxi driver. No? Karamihan kasi sa mga inaabuso yung hindi nag-assert ng kanilang mga karapatan.
For any complaints or information about the matter, the public may coordinate with transport and airport authorities via the hotline numbers or social media accounts of LTFRB and MIA. Joanna Nano, UNTV News and Rescue, Pasay City.
Next on Y News. Victims can express fear of Parojinogs retaliation despite expose of their illegal activities.
Comelec Chair Andres Bautista says he is ready to invalidate documents held by his estranged wife.
And the lower house to probe on safety measures imposed in firing ranges in the country.
Y News will be right back. In an exclusive interview with UNTV, a relative of one of the alleged victims of the Parojinogs family in Ozamis City confirms that the political clan is involved in various illegal activities, primarily in illegal drug trade. Ray Pelayo will tell us why. Exclusive.
Within not his real name, claims his sibling told in advance who would be responsible for his death.
Pag ako'y namatay, hanapan niyo si Nova. Mention the name, Nova, Abdot. Ang tirador nila is Jimmy Chan, sina Halap, Ipok. Yan ang mga tao papatay sa kapatid ko.
Winnie also says there are others whose relatives were also killed by the Parojinogs. He has expressed gratitude that the relatives of those the Parojinogs victimized are now starting to achieve justice. Elias Winnie also confirms that the police have no power over their area as whoever becomes the chief of police was bribed by the Parojinogs.
Very good, Espinido. He give justice for those people who were killed. He give justice lalo na for the whole Sami City. Entire Sami City. He get peace Sami City. Totoo yan. Yung mga hippie, ma-bribe yun. Gusto pa nyo isama ko po yung isa? Oo, totoo yan. Oo, mayroon pang pakapin. Gusto mo itong katawan ko? Oo, totoo yan. Ang dami mga hippie, nagdaang mga hippie dito. Nakatikim sa kanya.
He and the other relatives are still worrying for their lives as some members of the Parojinog family remain at large.
Okay lang mawala si Espinido sa aming lugar basta kayo patay na yung artlot na yan, matauhan na at saka si Idol. O yan. Pag wala ng mga yan, 100%, 101%, kampante na kami. Kampante na kami. We can sleep peacefully.
Winnie also believes the Parojinogs would now have the difficulty standing up again due to what happened to them. He also divulged other illegal activities committed by the family like extortion.
Yung mga malalaking tindahan dito, may protection racket sila, may protection money. Every month, they will collect money from those Chinese people for those big establishments in Sami City. For example, Elim Enterprise, Unitap, Gaisano, Novo, yung malalaking mga tindahan dito.
Winnie meanwhile has this message to President Rodrigo Duterte.
Mr. President, sir, sa ngayon, sir, binigyan mo na kami ng justisya, lalo na yung mga nangamatay, yung patay dito, sir. Itong nangamatay nga wala tayo, inustisya ang pagpatay, sir. Inustisya ang pagpatay, niloob ang pagpatay, katong panlubong nila, sir, panlabay sa dagat, anak, sir. Karon niabot ang imong tao si Espinido, sir. Nagpasalamat imig dako, sir. Hinahinaya naghatag nimo og justisya. Itagaan mo kalinaw ang Sami City, sir. Manghinaot ng daw, sir, nga mamatay pag yung na si Kwan, sir. Si Ardot, si Ailon, kanas maning, sir. Mamatay pa na, sir. 100% ikalipay na namo, sir.
In their ongoing excavation, authorities were able to retrieve more skeletons of people as well as materials like handcuffs, ropes, and underwear garters. Ray Pilayo, UNTV News and Rescue, Philippines.
The Criminal Investigation and Detection Group will leave the investigation on the Parahinog raid to the PNP Internal Affairs Service. Monokson will tell us why.
Operatives from the PNP CIDG were not the ones who cut off the CCTV on the night when the search warrant was served in the residence of Mayor Reynaldo Parojinogs in Ozamis City. This was based on the initial report of the PNP CIDG as cited by CIDG Director Roel Obusan in an interview in the program Get It Straight with Daniel Razon this morning. Obusan said CCTV footages were not covered by the search warrant and they just left the CCTV files as they were the property of the Parojinogs. Obusan believes that if the CCTV had been cut off, that was to save the lives of their men that conducted the raid.
Pero yung pagkat hindi kasama sa strategy na overall.
So, Espinido,
makikita mo yan during na pag nandun ka na, may kailangang gagawin ka. Kasi hindi mo naman nakita lahat ang factors during the planning stage. In the actual operation, may mga dumadating na factors beyond what is expected.
Obusan said the Parojinogs were prepared for the raid. He added that although they surrendered their firearms, the CIDG still recovered high-powered firearms in the house of the mayor. Obusan also admitted that a grenade was detonated in the compound, but he denied that the explosive was from them because they were not issued grenades. Obusan confirmed that they intentionally served the search warrant at midnight because it would be dangerous to deliver it in the morning.
Kung titingnan mo yung bahay is malapit lang sa kalsada.
Okay.
Kung magkaroon ng pag-away o laban,
alam agad.
O ano, ang daming tao na baka
matamaan.
From the house, kalsada na. Baka
So,
maraming
nag-expect na
tamaan.
kayo talaga ng laban?
Hindi naman, Kuya Daniel, pero these are not ordinary criminals. We are fighting a hardcore one.
The CIDG will leave the investigation now to the PNP Internal Affairs Service. Obusan said they are prepared to answer all questions because they themselves want the truth to be revealed. CIDG is expecting that the Parojinogs will file numerous cases against them. But the police unit is confident that the evidence will speak for itself, that they are truthful in serving the search warrant, and that they have just defended themselves during the incident. Mon Hokson, UNTV News and Rescue, Quezon City.
The Supreme Court granted the request of the complainants for copies of the documents mentioned in the impeachment complaint against Chief Justice Maria Lourdes Sereno. Roderick Mendoza tells us why.
6 of the 7 documents were approved for release in line with the impeachment complaint against Chief Justice Maria Lourdes Sereno, including the orders for the creation of Judiciary Decentralized Office and Regional Court Administration Office in Visayas. The court would not release yet the memorandum of Justice Teresita Leonardo de Castro questioning the appointment of the Philippine Mediation Center Chief and the travel allowances given to Sereno's staff.
Item number 7, referring to the memorandum dated July 10, 2017, remains a matter that is being internally deliberated by the court and thus cannot be released until the matter is resolved by the court and that.
In a letter to the court, the Volunteers Against Crime and Corruption and the Vanguard of the Philippine Constitution Incorporated said they requested the documents so it will no longer be subpoenaed by the lower house of Congress. They said it was done before during the impeachment of former Chief Justice Renato Corona when the court and bank released the documents. Meanwhile, a lawyer who is planning to file the second impeachment complaint against Sereno requested at least 20 documents from the court. He says it was required by the congressman who agreed to endorse the complaint.
Hinihiling lang nila na mag-attach ako ng mga certified true copies ng mga issuances and orders na galing dito sa Supreme Court sapagkat gusto nila na mag-comply ako doon sa verification portion ng aking complaint na based on public documents yung allegations na aking complaint.
Sereno has yet to comment on the issue and has inhibited herself from the deliberations on the release of the documents. Roderick Mendoza, UNTV News and Rescue, Manila.
In other news, Comelec Chairman Andres Bautista says he can prove that the documents pertaining to his alleged ill-gotten wealth are fake. Aiko Miguel tells us why.
Comelec Chair Andres Bautista says he is ready to bring to the National Bureau of Investigation the safe vault forcibly opened by his wife Patricia to steal his important documents. He also noted many of the documents Patricia presented are fake. Chairman Bautista is also set to release the documents that would prove the agreements he has with his wife. He says it would serve as evidence that would belie the accusation of Patricia Paz that she was just asking for 260 million pesos, a settlement for their separation.
To me, it was really a pure money play on her part. She wanted 200 for her, 75 each for the children. That's 4 times 75, which is 300, plus the 2 Pacific units, which is 120. So that's where the 620 came from.
Bautista also clarifies that he holds a number of bank accounts.
Malay ko ba kung ano yung dadala nila doon? But I can show to you already na marami na silang fine-fake eh. Dati pa.
Bautista strongly believes that Attorney Lorna Capunan has played a role in the sudden expose of his wife. Bautista admits an old rift going on between them, but he refuses to disclose details on the matter.
I had nothing to do with my wife retaining her, but neither did I have anything to do with my wife firing her. My issue was that it seemed to me that she had an agenda different from that of her client.
Bautista and Capunan were former colleagues in Philcomsat POTC. Meanwhile, he admits he received referral fees from the Divina Law Office, but clarifies that it has nothing to do with his position at the Commission on Elections. Attorney Capunan is yet to respond to our messages regarding the issue. Aiko Miguel, UNTV News and Rescue, Manila.
Meanwhile, the remains of former President Ferdinand Marcos will stay at the libingan ng mga bayani after the Supreme Court issued another resolution on the Marcos burial case. Roderick Mendoza explains why.
Voting 10-5, the Supreme Court affirmed its earlier decision which allowed the burial of the remains of former President Ferdinand Marcos at the libingan ng mga bayani. The court likewise denied the motion of Albay Representative Ed Selagman to exhume and remove Marcos' remains from the said cemetery.
The court, voting 10-5, denied the motions for reconsideration filed by petitioners of the court's decision dated November 8, 2016. The court's decision dated November 8, 2016 dismissed the petitions for absence of grave abuse of discretion relating to the challenge to the order to allow the burial of former President Ferdinand Marcos at the libingan ng mga bayani.
The voting has not changed. Chief Justice Maria Lourdes Sereno, Senior Justice Antonio Carpio, and Justices Marvic Leonen, Francis Hardeleza, and Alfredo Benjamin Caguiwa maintain their dissent. While all of the three appointees of President Rodrigo Duterte voted in favor of Marcos' burial. In November last year, the remains of the former president was transferred to the libingan after the court dismissed the petition against Marcos' burial. Petitioners were saddened by the court's resolution, with Congressman Lagman planning to file another motion. Meanwhile, Malacanang respects the court's ruling, which will finally end the debates on the issue. Roderick Mendoza, UNTV News and Rescue, Manila.
And the Committee on Public Order and Safety urges an investigation on the safety measures being implemented in firing ranges in the country. Maki Libradilla tells us why.
That firing range that is being referred to is inside the headquarters of the City Police Office of Cebu City, Mr. Chair.
Yeah, but isn't it that Cebu City Police Office is under your regional office?
Yes, Mr. Chair.
Oh, you cannot give that as an excuse. Iho, maski tanungin mo yung mas matataas sa iyo.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
That should not be an excuse. And if I were your boss, I will not accept that as an excuse. Under your jurisdiction yung Cebu Police Office.
Committee on Public Order and Safety Chairman Romeo Acop interrogated the Director of Regional Office 7, Police Chief Superintendent Noli Talino this morning. This is due to the firing range in the regional office in Cebu that is near public establishments such as school. Representative Acop said lives in the community around the said firing range could be in danger. Thereafter, the committee decides to put into probe the firing ranges of PNP in the country, including the accreditation of pistol clubs in the firing range will be investigated.
Is there a MOA existing between the Shooters Club and the authorities of that camp there? Is that authorized?
Meanwhile, General Ramon Apolinario explains that they allow pistol clubs to use their firing ranges because it contributes to the enhancement of their fire ranges, but he also promises to assure their safetyness.
This should be applied nationwide na lahat po ng regional offices, the firing ranges, firing range management, utilization should really be looked into and guarantee the safety of the firers and the community beside these ranges.
Maki Libradilla, UNTV News and Rescue, House of Representatives.
The Bureau of Fire Protection National Capital Region has launched their newest state-of-the-art operational and tracking system. Joyce Balancho will tell us why.
To ensure faster response to fire incidents, the Bureau of Fire Protection has put up the Fire Command Operations Center or FCOC in the NCR Regional Office. The FCOC is said to be the first state-of-the-art facility of the BFP that aims to strengthen their capacity to monitor fires in different parts of Metro Manila. The system consists of 10-panel high-end LED monitors, 10 sets of computers, and 4 units of smart TV donated by the Philippine Chamber of Commerce and Industry. The Metropolitan Manila Development Authority or MMDA has given the BFP access to more than 250 CCTV cameras for easier coordination with neighboring cities and municipalities. The said command center will operate 24/7 and will be manned by IT experts hired by the BFP.
In terms of monitoring naman, ito po yung kasagutan. Although this is one only in the history of the BFP, ito lang po yung nag-isa, but this will help a lot for the entire metropolis.
Aside from CCTVs of the MMDA, BFP is also seeking permission from LGUs to access their cameras as well. They also plan to set up the same command center in Davao City. Joyce Balancio, UNTV News and Rescue, Quezon City.
Coming up on Y News. Chinese archaeologists unveil Imperial City platform in northwest China.
UNTV and MCGI volunteers assisted the Philippine consulate officials in rendering public services to OFWs in Ho Chi Minh City, Vietnam.
And outlandish square watermelon is gaining popularity in Japan.
More from Y News after this break.
Overseas Filipino workers in Ho Chi Minh City, Vietnam, expressed satisfaction with the services rendered by the Philippine consulate during the two-day consular mission last August 5 and 6. Lloyd de la Cruz will tell us why.
Mercy went to consular missions like this only twice during her 11 years of stay here in Vietnam. It was because of her unfavorable experience during her first way back in 2013.
Mag-a-apply sana rin ako ng renewal ng visa. But the problem is, sa halip na tumulong sila, yung parang asusuplada, hindi sila approachable na umano sa mga OFW.
But this year, along with other Filipinos, Mercy was all smiles, seeing how the services of the Philippine consulate improved through the years. To help assist consulate officials, volunteers from Members Church of God International and UNTV offered extra hands during the quarterly consular mission in Ho Chi Minh City, Vietnam.
I'm very happy. This is my second time na So far, ayos naman. Maraming there are so many people na talagang tumutulong. Okay, I will mention my mga volunteers. Thank you sa mga volunteers.
So far, ay mas maganda po ang kanilang organisasyon, maluwag ang space na nakikita namin. Maraming volunteers na nag-aasikaso ng OFW na katulad ko rin.
Hospital administrators are also thankful that the consulate has chosen their place because by doing so, they are able to also share in helping the Filipino community here in Vietnam.
I really appreciate the general consulate missions of the Philippines help at our hospital. Also, thanks the volunteer of the MCGI have organized these missions.
For her part, Consul General Cynthia Pelayo expresses gratitude to the regular support the consulate is getting from volunteers.
Nais ko pong magpasalamat pong muli sa Members Church of God International sa walang sawa po nilang pagtulong po sa amin dahil ang laki po ng serbisyo na naibibigay po nila sa mga kababayan po natin dito po sa Ho Chi Minh City.
Consul Pelayo also reiterates her invitation to all Filipinos in Vietnam to avail the services, especially the ongoing overseas voters registration. The next mobile consular service in Ho Chi Minh City will be in the first week of October. Among the assistance given by volunteers were photocopying services, laptop assistance, free blood pressure check, CBC, body mass index test, and glucose level check. The group also gave free snacks for the waiting clients. Lloyd de la Cruz for Serbisyong Kasambahay.
Former singing champions from Cebu City had the chance to show off their unfading singing talent. Leslie Longboan will tell us why.
Among the similar interests of Nympha Gakay and Esterlina Olmedo is music. The two friends have been joining different singing contests since their youth.
Despite their age, they still want to continue their singing journey through Wishcovery. 48-year-old Esterlina impressed the crowd, especially the youth, with her rendition of Chandelier.
Gonna swing from the chandelier, from the chandelier. I'm gonna live like tomorrow doesn't exist, like it doesn't exist.
Patunayan ko lang na kayang-kaya ko pa kumanta, kahit na may edad pa. Yun.
Esterlina shared how she maintains her powerful voice through the years.
Hindi kasi ako binom ng yung mga alak, walang bisyo.
Nympha, a crowd favorite, also served as an inspiration to talented persons with disabilities.
Share my life, take me forward, cause I never change of my colors for you. Mga kapariha ko na may kapansanan, huwag kayong matakot, huwag kayong kabahan. Ano lang tayo, pa-fight lang tayo kasi may pagmalaki tayo. Kasi binigay sa Diyos to.
Nympha and Esterlina were among the Wishcovery auditionees in Cebu City.
Don't make me close one more door. I don't wanna hurt anymore. Stay in my arms if you're there. Must I imagine you there? I'm gonna fly like a bird through the night. Feel my tears of pain rock my eyes. Gonna swing from the chandelier, from the chandelier.
Leslie Longbowen, UNTV News and Rescue, Philippines.
Those are the reasons behind the news, August 8, 2017. I'm Angelo Castro III.
Reasons we deliver to you as they unfold. I am William Theo.
And I'm Darlene Basingan, because we need to know.
We will always ask why. Thank you for watching
Why
News.